Hour 2 Overdrive continues, powered by FanDuel, bringing you everything from the opening line to the final score. Bryan Hayes, the O-Dog, Jeff O'Neill, Jamie Noodles McLennan. We got Ray Ferraro coming up here in a moment. Sure, Ray was watching the games over the weekend, probably watching golf this morning. It was quite the experience.
You should have a bone to pick with him.
What for?
Emily Kaplan on
I
Trade
will.
Center.
I'll bring that up to him.
Well,
He started out with saying, I worked with Ray Ferraro last night.
I had an incident last night, so I went to see Brett Kissel at the Horseshoe Tavern.
Yeah.
And, you go to get a drink. The guy, Jason, just hands me the drink. He goes, Hayes is a fraud. This one's on me.
Unreal, man.
And so then we had a little group.
It's out of control.
I put my card down.
In the airport.
More than it ever has been.
I put my card down, and I said to everybody, like the code word is to go back, to put it on my tab. Hayes is a fraud.
Yeah, of course.
So,
yeah.
and Jason was like dead serious. He's like, please pass it along to Hayes. And
thank you.
Okay.
Like, what am I supposed to do with that? Because I was at the game on Saturday, and there's a handful of guys. Hayes is a fraud. I'm like, hey, thanks, man. Which is fine. I get it. It's an icebreaker. Yeah. Totally fine. It means you're a fan of the show. I have a great appreciation for that.
Yeah.
But I don't know how to react to that.
Yeah, there's no
what is the appropriate reaction? Hey, thanks so much, man.
What if you're like, no, I'm not.
Or no, I'm not, which obviously I wouldn't do. But like if someone says, hey, how are you? I love the show. It's, hey, thanks so much. Great to see you. The straight Hayes is a fraud in the walk by.
Yeah, I know. I don't know what I'm supposed
comeback.
to say.
But you started it.
Yeah, well, exactly. You and Luke.
Yeah.
No, I know what started it. It started at a gas station on Lakeshore in Mimico. I was getting gas, and this goon with a beard and a cookie duster rolled down his window, and he looked at me. I think he was half pissed in his truck. He goes, Hayes is a fraud. And then he drove away. That was the start of it.
That goon.
Yeah.
That goon started this whole mess.
That
Hayes
guy
& Co. is a fraud?
Yeah, that didn't help either. That guy is the bat in the wet market for this whole thing that's
right.
happened to me. That was the original guy.
He's Patient X.
I need to find that guy. Maybe he was the guy with the Habs jersey with the nachos on the ground.
Could be.
Could be all the same guys just terrorizing the world, myself included. But, we'll have words with Ray here in a moment. Leafs Flames tonight.
I want to ask Ray about the porta potty, or not the porta potty, the urinal, if he thinks it would be okay.
He's on our side. You're the only guy.
You got to understand something, dude. You're in a very small minority.
I honestly,
very small.
The bottom of your shoe is touching it, and you're just tying your shoe. What are we talking about?
But it's also just not. It's not necessary. There's other ways for you to tie up your shoe, and also if you're so concerned, my laces.
Right.
There could be something on the floor. Why would you use the urine? That's the whole thing you're trying to avoid. There's a great scene in The Sopranos where Paulie Walnuts is talking about laces and men's washrooms and stuff. I wish we could play it. There's so much swearing you couldn't play it, but it's brilliant the way he talks about laces and washrooms.
Touches
and
the floor.
Why is it sticky? See if you can get it. Try to get it, Doogie.
I don't
to
even
find
know
a way.
If you can edit it though.
I don't know if you can edit it because they're all in there. Tony's in there, Sill's in there.
You know what? I had a buddy, John, messaged me, and it's so true. He goes, "Could you imagine that goon, that Weber, goes back to his seat, and he's sharing the nachos
with his date,
his buddy or his date?
Buddy. Hey, nacho,
and there is shrapnel."
Everywhere.
Well, imagine going on a date with Weber and seeing the newspaper the next day what the nachos were doing before they got to the seat.
That would be the best part. It's a post-game interview.
You're having a casual coffee and you pick up the newspaper and you see that pic of the Habs fan.
Yeah.
You would never go out with that guy again.
No, that would be the end. That's a blocking, possibly moving from Montreal.
Either that, though, he doesn't care, and that's his screensaver.
Yeah, exactly.
He's like, I don't
Badge
care.
of honor.
Like,
this is how I operate.
Exactly.
Get in line. If you don't like it, that's
no
you
apologies.
Problem.
He's like, I'm sorry, that's how I operate.
That's a you problem.
Yeah.
That has nothing to do with me.
He might make no apologies for it. He might say, what's the problem here? I don't understand. Because there was no shelf, so I just put it on the floor.
Yeah, improvise.
I don't know, man.
Yeah, there's not a lot of support for you in the tying the shoe in the urinal.
I think
right
it would
now,
be a fascinating.
You got 1,115 votes. 20% of them almost are saying they're
yes,
on board.
they're okay. All right, so you're 1-5.
I think it would be a fascinating candid camera if you just put up a camera in the a bathroom and you just laid out a full array of food. Just to
See who would nibble on
No,
charcuterie?
you just see people's
charcuterie
reaction.
board.
People would be like, just look at this guy. Like if you laid out a buffet of food and took like a fake
Would you eat food in the if you were at a prestigious place?
Yes.
And they had a charcuterie in the washroom. Would you dabble?
I
on
would
the
not go
charcuterie?
near it because
But it's not like by the urinal or anything. Or the
But it's by
toilet.
the sink.
It's by the sink.
It's right on the sink.
It's on the sink, but there's distance between the sinks.
No.
There's two sinks, massive piece
know
of
why?
marble in the middle, filled with charcuterie.
You know why? Because there's poppies out there. You know who Poppy is from Seinfeld?
Yes.
Guy walks right out of after taking a moose, doesn't wash his hands. He'll grab a bar of cheese or a
absolutely.
cracker and walk out.
And then put it back. Oh,
And
I
then
didn't like
there's-
that one.
So
There's
there-
another one
you
over
know,
here. I like.
Timing is important.
You take
if
a
you're
blue light
early
to
on,
that thing,
I'll
I'm-
get in there.
Yeah,
An
but,
hour in, I'm out.
that's what I'm saying.
That would be the best.
Third
St.
period.
Patty's Day. Oh, yeah.
Third period of a
Midnight.
Leaf Habs game.
Third period,
overtime.
I'm
No
not
chance.
touching that.
You can't go anywhere close to a charcuterie.
If the
by
guy
third
drops
period.
it on the sink right away and I'm watching him deliver it,
That's
I get
different.
involved.
Yeah, that's a different story.
I don't know.
Anyway, Leafs Flames tonight, and big game for both teams. Big game for the Flames, and Nazem Kadri was saying today he's always excited to come back home and play, and he's going to have family and friends, in the building tonight, and they got to keep into the race out there. I mean, you got Vancouver, who they had been playing pretty well, and
It's Vancouver, it's Calgary, it's Utah,
and St. Louis, and St. Louis got a really soft schedule the rest of the way.
But I, if you had to lay it out on paper, Vancouver might be the best team out of all of them. But Calgary's got the
games
goalie.
in hand and the goalie.
Yeah, and I think Calgary tonight and tomorrow, they play back to back. They play in New York tomorrow. This might be a telltale of where they're at.
Right. You can skate through these two games with points, you're in a really good place.
That's what I'm saying. The Leafs can't take their foot off the gas. They're playing a hungry team tonight.
Isn't it amazing? San Jose's already eliminated, and somehow Chicago isn't. Like Chicago has not been
Right on the
mathematically
cusp.
eliminated.
Yeah, right on the
But
cusp.
it's not too far down the road. Here is our ESPN hockey analyst Ray Ferraro joining us here on the Maple Toyota Hotline. What's happening, Ray?
I don't think you should disparage San Jose. I've been on teams that have been out of it right now.
Well, we were referencing you earlier because you see Ilya Kovalchuk just announced his retirement. I wasn't aware he was still playing professionally.
5 years.
No, he's
like
been-
for 5 years,
it's
I have
been
never
10
heard.
years. 10
Yeah.
years he hasn't played. I feel like it. So, Ray, O-Dog and I are going to announce our retirement and sign the papers, too.
I've never announced mine.
All three of us.
So what's the purpose of the whole signing thing? Like, does the PA want that for some reason? Like, no one seems to ever sign the
Trust me,
retirement
as soon as you
papers.
don't show up at a training camp, they call you within 2 months and say all that stuff, the covers and stuff's gone. So get your life together.
Hey, that's how I figured we announced our retirement. We didn't show up because nobody asked us to, and then nobody asked us again. And so you're retired.
Yeah.
Like, isn't that it? It's like,
Yeah, that's a good point. I guess the
And
team's
it's like if
gotta
you're not
retire you.
Gretzky and you're not Sidney Crosby, you want me and Noodles or Ray to go in front of a mic and say, I just want to announce my
I'm
retirement.
telling you, we have to do it. We have to announce our retirement.
Somebody in the crowd would say, you had to retire, you idiot.
I think so. The Hall of Fame can start the clock on my
Yeah,
3 years.
exactly.
I'm going to officially announce
He
my
played.
retirement.
Kovalchuk played for Moscow Spartak last year.
Yeah.
So
Well,
it's
do you-
just this year he's been waiting for a contract.
At what age?
At 40. He's 41 right now.
Enough's enough.
Yeah. Yeah. But
oh man, I got to tell you, when he showed up, like he was on the ice 7 seconds, and we're like, oh my God, he's way better than anyone else out here. Like he couldn't speak English. He did the drill like kind of however he figured it would work, because he couldn't really follow along. And we're like, he's so much better than everybody else on our team.
Got three
And so
breakaways a game, Ray.
Oh, he was unreal. He played off that he didn't understand really well, because there were times there I'm sure he looked around and go, these guys suck that I'm playing with, so I'm going to play however I want to play. And him and Danny Heatley were like, there was those two, and then the rest of us, like stumbling around, trying to do whatever. We were all trying to hang on, and these guys were just starting. And Covey, whatever people think of him, he loved the game. He just loved to play. He loved to score. And, you know, he didn't love the back check. I mean, that wasn't going to be part of his thing, but he actually became a pretty well-rounded player, man. He was just fun to be around. He was his mom came over, and so he's 18, and all of a sudden, after a month, we're getting changed, and he like takes his shirt off, and I was like, Jesus, Covey, how much have you been eating? And he goes, Mom, make butter bread. Butter bread. He must have eaten 20 loaves of the stuff. And then, you know, he was 18 years old. It didn't really bother him, but we're like, wow, he probably needs to lay off the butter bread here.
Yeah, you hear that sometimes with like European players or Latin American players. That's the story with Vladdy. Like Vladdy Jr., his grandma comes up and starts making these dishes, and he can't stop.
Now you're in trouble. Yeah,
it's a real issue. It's a real problem.
When I went to Russia, I was there 2 months. We worked out 6 hours a day. I didn't lose a pound because everything was drenched in butter, and there was chocolate everywhere. So you take your gear off. There's a bucket of chocolate in the middle of the room. You got a Dr. No Sleeves walking around handing out pills, so you have no idea what it is. And then you go into the mess hall, and the meat was soaked in butter. The potatoes were soaked in butter. The salad had butter in it. Like it was. You wonder why, like some of these guys battle the bulge. He's not lying when he's talking about butter bread.
Butter bread.
I can just. For someone who enjoys the absurdities of life like you do, Noodles, you must have been giggling your ass off over there. Like, what are we doing?
It was, the chocolate in the middle of the room was unique. And then, like I say, the red and the blue pills, like I grew an eyebrow. I took them one day. I grew an eyebrow in the middle of my forehead. And then I don't know what was going on, but I just remember there was a layer, like you would eat mashed potatoes and there was an inch of butter sauce on top of the mashed potatoes they'd push aside to scoop it on your plate. That's the food there.
Yeah.
But it was rich,
man.
and it was so good.
That's the thing that gets you, right?
Oh, my God.
You start going, and if everyone else is doing it, you're like, wow, this is how professional.
Nothing else to eat.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what it was.
All good. Anyway, it's good to catch up with you. We appreciate you doing this, and I'm sure you're aware, but the nerves in Toronto are starting to percolate here a little bit with the way that they're playing, because they're being outperformed basically every game. Like the last 7 or 8 games, they have not outplayed their opponent in any of them. And the last 2 games since they arrived back home after going out west, it was playoff atmosphere. And Florida's here on Thursday. They lose that game, but it's all good. Get back on the saddle Saturday night with Ottawa in town. They lose that game. And now Berube's saying, well, they're pissed and they're going to show it tonight. We were asking the question, like the best players, what would that look like to you, Ray? Because I don't know what a pissed off Austin Matthews or a pissed off Mitch Marner looks like.
Or even an urgent.
Yeah. I don't know what that looks like because I haven't really seen it in 8.5 years.
Yeah, I guess. Well, it's not like they're going to start running around and have this big, physical, outwardly aggressive presence. I mean, that's not their thing. Matthews is the guy for me that changes just about everything there. There's a gear missing. I'm sure everybody sees it. It's like it just doesn't look like it normally looks. Like the pace, the hunt of the puck, the aggressiveness to shoot it. It all seems just a little bit off. And then if he's not at that level, then you become a good player, not a great player. And if that happens across the board at various times, that affects the wingers, that affects the power play, that affects the usage. I think everything kind of comes out of him. Like like his presence when he's at his best or near it changes everything there. And when I watch, it's the first thing that strikes me all the time. Like he's kind of there, but he's not kind of at his level. And it's the oldest adage, right? If you're if your best aren't your best, then it's really nice that your third and fourth line guys play well and all that, but you're not the team you're supposed to be.
Ray, they've got the third coach. They've got Chris Tanev, Brandon Carlo now, Scotty Lawton. Like, going into these playoffs and even finishing the season strong, like, are the Leafs a team where you would look at them and say maybe this year could be different, or do you look at them and say it wouldn't shock me if they got pumped in the first round?
I think they'll win the first round. I do, because I look at, like, if they don't win I'm assuming they're not going to win the division, and that might be goofy, but I just kind of have in my head, since we're projecting things, Tampa's sneaky good, but they don't terrify me like they might in the past. Mm-hmm. The bottom end of their roster there's quite a drop, but they're a very good team. I felt until, I don't know, 3 weeks ago, a month ago, that I kind of liked the way Toronto was going about their business, whether they were winning by a large margin or not. I just kind of liked the way the approach of the year was. Now all of a sudden, it all seems unsettled again. It feels a little bit like whack-a-mole there, like they fix something and something else pops up. And maybe that's the way it is around the league for a lot of teams. That, I mean, nobody's got enough depth to just kind of sail through, except Winnipeg and Washington, it seems like. Like they haven't taken a backward step all year. But just when it looked like the Leafs, you're like, oh yeah, that's the playoff style. I see what they're doing. They kind of fell away from it. And now they're just okay. And we know in a month, okay isn't going to be good enough.
So if you're, around that team, instead of trying to find this whole, 5 things wrong, is there one thing you could go, okay, this could start the process to get some more consistency in their game? Whether it's loose puck battles or it's 50-50 battles, or it's just simple as your goaltender's got to steal something or your top players have to be better.
When I look now, and again, I'm not seeing them live, so I'm just watching them on TV. They look slow. The puck doesn't move like it needs to move. The breakouts aren't as crisp or as sharp. Instead of one pass and out of the zone, it's one pass deflected back. Everybody swings back in. They regroup again, get control of the puck, then they break out, but it's slow. And so I guess I look at the best. Even Florida's not super fast, but man, they play fast. They get it, they move it, and it goes straight up the ice. And for the Leafs, it seems more of a meandering pace. And that to me, more than anything, it can change, and they're good enough for it to change. But we all know, like, it's not just one guy. It's like when the puck goes into their zone, the D have to get there quicker. The forwards have to be available in a better spot, and that pass has to move quicker. They have to have better support so they get out of the zone with one pass, and then they're gone. Because otherwise, you're just plugging along, and you never make the other team scared. You never back them off. And I thought one of the things Ottawa has under Greeny, under Travis, is like they've defended way better, but they spend way less time most nights around their own end. Like, it's out of there fast, and then up the ice they go.
Yeah, they're playing really well, Ottawa. And, I was going to ask you that. When you look at the 3 teams kind of at the top of the Canadian rankings, I would say for the last few years, Vancouver jumped in last year, now they're out again, but would be Toronto, Edmonton, Winnipeg. And this year that's been the case. Like, those have been kind of the pace cars of the Canadian teams. Would you say Ottawa now has played themselves into that group, or are they still being compared to the Vancouver, Montreal, Calgary group, if we're using specifically Canadian teams?
Well, they're not in the group. Winnipeg's in their own group.
Okay.
They're so good. I'm doing the game here in Vancouver tomorrow, and they just steamroll teams. Like, it is really impressive. And of course, they're going to get to the playoffs, and everyone in Winnipeg or around the league watching is going to say, "Yeah, well, that's nice, but nobody cares. Let's see if you can get through the first round." But I think Winnipeg's the best team. Toronto and Edmonton, if anybody can figure them out, really then you're going to be the first in a while, because they each leave you wanting because you think there's more there. Ottawa, I would say Ottawa and Montreal are relatively similar. I did the Canadiens out here about a week ago. They're fun. They're fun to watch.
That top line's
line,
playing great, man. They're playing great.
Nick Suzuki is so good. And him and Caulfield just, they just fit like hand in glove. And then they got the big kid, Slafkovsky. He's starting to get it. I mean, people are so impatient with him. He's 20. But the guy reminds me of Nichushkin. Like, he's that big, he's that strong, he holds the puck, and I'm like, man, they're figuring it out there. But Ottawa and Montreal are on an upward trajectory, both of them. But I wouldn't put Ottawa there quite like up with those top teams yet. But I'll tell you, they're young and they're aggressive and they're confident now, and they got a really good goalie. If he stays healthy, I wouldn't be hoping for them in the first round. Put it that way. That would be a pretty good test.
Yeah, it would be. You mentioned Nichushkin. He has 17 goals already. He's played 30 games.
Wait, but listen, he's a brilliant player.
Yeah.
But I guess it's almost like we've been talking with all these teams in the playoffs. Show me. For him, unfortunately, show me you can stay healthy, we'll call it.
Right.
Because that's
the same thing last
two
year.
Playoffs in a row.
He's
He was leading the playoffs with 9 goals last year, was he not? And then all of a sudden, not available because of personal stuff. And then the playoffs before, same situation, Seattle, and then he's gone. Like, that's the biggest thing, is the trust factor with him. He's a hell of a player. He's a unique player. Like, Ray, I don't.
He's big.
I don't know if there's another
score.
player in the league kind of like maybe Tom Wilson type of thing, but he doesn't fight, but he's that powerful and dominant. You just can't stop him.
That's when they traded Rantanen, that I always would look at those two monsters. They'd get on the ice together, and they'd start cycling the puck, and you're like, you never get it back unless it bounces over their stick. Like, how are you going to get it back off of these guys? I think there's very few guys that can move like them. You know who's going to be like that? He already is, I guess, is Protas.
Oh.
And this guy,
in Washington,
he's 6'6". Last year, he scored 3 goals in 56 games.
Got 30 now.
Yeah, Spencer Carberry told me, we were doing a game, and I asked him about him, and man, he can't. It's like he's his son. He's so happy with this guy and proud of him. And he's like, we told him when he went home that, you need to be in better shape. Like, after 15 or 20 seconds, your knees are straight, you're out of the shift. So I guess he went home, him and his brother, who's having a monster year in the Ontario League, another Capitals draft pick. All they did was, like, they worked on their conditioning. They sent them a weekly program, and the Protases would send videos back of them working out, of themselves working out. And he came back, and they couldn't believe the change in the one summer. And they moved up, Washington did, in the 3rd round, I think it was last year, to draft the younger brother. So they got 2 of these apes. They're like, they got arms their arms are down to their ankles. Like, you see them, they're so big. And if you can move like that, which is what we're talking about, Slafkovsky and Nichushkin and Rantanen, guys like, oh man, it's like, it's found money for you. You already got a good player, but at that size, like, it's unique. It's unicornish. It really is.
Yeah. Like Washington's farm system, they got Hudson's brother. Yeah. They got that Ryan Leonard kid coming. They've got the other Protas. Like, they are loaded in terms of their system. And
Ovi keeps scoring.
Yeah, he scored again. Was that last night or on Saturday he scored?
Saturday, wasn't it?
It is just, there is nobody that can, there's nobody that scores like him, of course. In short time, we're going to say there's nobody that's ever scored more. But at his age, there are times when he just looks like, not tonight. It's not happening. And then he gets one chance, and never mind the empty net stuff. He gets one chance, and he's still got it. Like, he can still deliver the puck to the right spot. It's super impressive. I mean, it's not like he's got 12 goals this year.
Right.
Like he's 40 years old. He's got 31 or something.
Top 5 in scoring, I believe. Top 10. He missed almost 6 weeks.
Crazy. Broken leg. Out
Broken
for like
leg.
17 games.
Comes right back and did not miss a beat at his age.
By the way, like about the Caps, they've got that Leonard. They lost out, so like he's available soon. That kid's a player.
He's really good, man.
Yeah.
And so like I think they saved cap room to get him signed and in, and like he's going to be in their lineup.
Right, in the playoffs,
really
he'll be
cool
around
thing.
the team for sure, right? Like he could step in.
Dude, he might play.
Oh, yeah?
I think he's going to play like if I believe they're out. They lost this weekend.
Okay.
And I think he would be available in the next week or so.
Wow.
Man. Yeah, and he's 20. Like he's a good
they've done
player.
a really good job there. Like, you know, they kind of got old around the Backstrom and Kuznetsov and Oshie and that. And they just transitioned a little bit. And then these young guys like Protas and McMichael, they hit. They signed Chychrun. He's been a grand slam for them. And last year, I think they were the lowest scoring team in the league last year. And this year, they're one of the top scoring teams. It's amazing.
Every one of their moves hit. The goalie,
Yeah.
Logan Thompson. You've got Mangiapane. Even that Duhaime is a monster.
Yeah.
Like they're a big team, Ray, too. Like they're like physically. Like
They've got their top 6. I think 4 of the top 6 are over 6'4".
Man.
And that's tough to handle.
I'm looking at this kid, Ilya Protas, the brother. He had 50 goals in the Ontario League this year, 119 points. He's
Check out
6'5".
Yes, I was going to say, move down the line and look at that size.
Imagine those gorillas on the same line.
Oh, my God.
Be the Legion of Doom times 2.
They're both 6'5". This kid in 60 games with the Spitfires, 50 goals, 119 points. He's 18.
Oh, my God.
How did no one else take him?
Yeah. First overall.
Yeah, like he went in the third round. That's amazing. Wow, what a
I'll
pick.
tell you, Mrs. Protas must be busy all summer cooking.
Oh,
butter bread.
Better get that butter in. Pounds of butter.
Ray, before we get you out of here, I have to ask you one question. I think you're going to be okay with this because I am. But Hayes said he went to the game on Saturday night, and some guy put his foot up on the urinal to tie his shoe. I see no problem with that. No, hang on a sec. I see no problem with that because you're tying your shoe. Hayes and Noodles are disgusted and just beside themselves that somebody would do that. Would you have a problem either doing it or seeing someone tying their shoe on a urinal?
Ooh, that's a tough one. Oh, geez.
I know,
man.
but all you're doing, Ray, is tying your shoe.
You can't dude, there's no justifying it. You're trying and you can't. Go ahead, Ray. You express how disgusted you are, please.
Okay, so here's the thing. Like, you're at the game. The generalization, I would think, of the aim of the urinal at a sporting event would be rather low.
Yeah, anywhere for that matter.
I know, but it's not like your hands are touching anything. The only thing your hands are touching are your laces.
Dude, here's another element that we haven't even referenced. There's a slippage potential there where the whole shoe goes in.
If you go face first into that, that is game over.
If it slips down and you go forward face first into that, how do you possibly recover?
Imagine having a face-to-face convo after that. What your cranium smells like. How's the game going? Excuse me.
Here's one other thing. I don't know if you guys got into this. What is the percentage of that somebody that is tying their shoe like that wash their hands after they left?
0%. 0%.
He's going to get splashed on because the urinal will flush at some point because it's automated.
Automated flushing.
And he's going to wipe his hands on his pants and walk out of there.
Yeah.
That's what he's going to do.
Let's just, for all you people that act like you're clean freaks, there's some East Coast League hand washing going on too. It's a little tinkle, and then it's a wipe your hand and gonzo. Yeah. Trust me, it's one of my moves, and a lot of people are using it.
I got to, since I'm going to leave with this. I couldn't believe this happened. I was in Edmonton. This was, 10, 12 years ago. Before the game, it was in the old rink, and I had to go to the bathroom. So I walk into the bathrooms downstairs where the dressing rooms were. And this guy comes out of the stall, and he sees me. He's like, "Hey, Ray Ferraro!" And he holds out his hand to shake my hand. I'm like, "Buddy, are you kidding me?"
Yeah, dude.
What are you doing?
I don't even think you can fist bump in a situation like that.
No,
You run for your life.
I'm like, "Hey, buddy, no chance."
Thanks. Good seeing you. See you later.
Like,
Enjoy
I
the
like a
game.
good handshake. When you go straight out after a leak with no wash and want to shake, it's disgusting.
Anyway, I don't know what we've accomplished here, but we're trying. We're trying to help people. That's how we generally operate.
It is a public service that you guys give to the public daily. I mean,
try.
aren't we lucky? Aren't we lucky in our time to have this?
Yep. Society would be nowhere without us every single day. Thank you, Ray. Enjoy the games tonight.
I will. Great to talk to you guys.
There's Ray Ferraro joining us here on the Maple Toyota Hotline. Drive the built-in Canada fuel-efficient, fun-to-drive Toyota RAV4. Gas or hybrid models available. Visit mapletoyota.com. We'll play the Sopranos clip.
Yes, you have
Okay,
to.
we have it. Paulie Gualtieri, Paulie Walnuts on just the whole scene. Laces, washrooms, everything. It is so poetic, so perfect.
Yeah.
We'll get to that a little bit later on. CJ coming up from the GM meetings down in Florida. The GMs are getting together, they're trying to help things, I guess, in terms of the league. And Johnson Wagner, who was at the Players, and it was tough this morning. We'll get into it. JJ Spaun, I know exactly what he was going through. Like, I can take you through every single shot
What he was thinking?
I know exactly what he was thinking.
Well, let's go right from the top when he watched the guy hit a 347-yard drive.
It was over the first tee shot that Rory could have turned around and gone, great job.
Yeah,
like, you're second place. He saw him hit the most perfect drive anyone on earth could hit.
Yeah.
And his first swing.
I honestly think luck of the draw. Like, if he had a hit first and nutted one down the middle, it might have made Rory think a little bit.
He could, if he had the honor, he could have possibly competed with McIlroy.
But then on the par 3 17th, he looked in Rory's bag and he goes, "This guy's hitting a 9-iron. I better grab 8," and he flew it in the water.
worst decision you could make, looking at McIlroy to try to figure out what you're going to do with your golf game.
Exactly. I think that's what happened, though. He looked in the bag and said, "He's got the 9. I got to get 8," and he.
I couldn't
flew it
believe
over
what
the
we
green.
witnessed today. We'll get more into it. It's Johnson Wagner coming up in an hour as well. Overdrive continues. TSN 1050 and on TSN 4. All right, Johnson Wagner in about an hour. The Overdrive PGA Picks brought to you by TaylorMade, introducing the all-new QI35 drivers. For more distance from more of the face, unlock another level for your game at TaylorMadeGolf.ca. You had a very successful week last week, even though you texted me your picks, and we didn't get to Snake, which is a little bit greasy. But you had McIlroy. Good for you. That's an outright win. You had Corey Connors, top 10, and
Are you telling
Morikawa,
me
top
you were
10.
offended by the? You said, shoot me a list. I shot you. I gave you Scheffler. I gave you some freebies.
You forgot the list. That's what it was.
I forgot the list, and then I had to wing it, and I'm like, I think, because I changed my phone and I lost
It was
your
a
text.
migration issue.
Yeah, I had a migration issue, and I'm like, I don't remember what this guy said. I remembered McIlroy and Connors.
Yes.
I knew that. I'm like, I knew he took McIlroy, and I knew he took Corey Connors.
By the way, someone else sent me a message saying they're carving your golf game right now.
No, that's not true. I was saying that you were talking up your golf game about how well you were playing
And the new club.
And you were saying the P790 irons are like the most beautiful thing you've ever hit
Best
in your
irons
life.
I've ever played in my life. Like, they will change your game.
Yeah.
But then someone said you brought up my best score that had a lost ball that wasn't.
Oh, that was Duffy that brought that up.
Yeah.
Duffy said when you shot 66 at Weston, you lost a golf ball and took a free drop because that is a true story, though. I remember that. You hit a ball into some like a white steak, and it should have been
you tell me
reteed.
what you would do.
Okay.
It's a layup hole. I hit a 4-iron off the tee.
Which hole is it?
It's number 6 at Weston. Okay, it goes over a
par 5, is it
No,
not?
it's not. Number 7 is a par 5.
Oh, 6 is down into the gully and up. Yes,
That's
I know
right.
exactly where it is.
So it just rolled off the fairway by 1 foot. Up comes Mr. Mower, gobbles my golf ball up and spits it into the air, and I get up there and it's gone. Everyone's like, it was right. It should be right there.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, I'm putting my ball down. No harm, no foul.
Okay. I know that hole, and I know the way it plays. Now, I will say
Is there video evidence, though, of the mower being...
Not at a place
where
like
was
that.
the mower?
That's a good question. Was the mower
guys
around?
I was playing with who to this day said they never saw it was clear. You can't miss.
I know
one of
the
these
hole.
lawnmowers.
You got it. You can't hit driver there, but the risk is you'll go down into the valley. JJ Spaun it, overcook it, and it's lost.
No, dude.
Like there's
So
a
Patrick
chance.
Reed, there's a Patrick Reed element
4-iron.
here?
I'm surprised you'd hit a 4-iron there. Like that.
That's as long. That's just all you can.
I
hit
know
there.
that play. Like
It's a
you're aiming at the
4-iron.
bunker down the left, and you're hoping and it'll filter down into the right. I know that play.
And that's the best score I've ever posted, a 65.
Yeah.
And I'm not changing it because I watched a guy run over my golf ball.
Well, that was the story Duthie brought up because I was saying I was getting updates and it was driving me crazy because I want to play golf. And I'm like, this guy's saying how well he's playing and it's beautiful down there. And then Duthie came over the top and told that story again. So your issues with James.
Yeah.
Anyway, congrats. Great picks. We got more picks coming up. The Masters only a few weeks away. OverDrive PGA Picks brought to you by TaylorMade, introducing the all-new QI35 drivers for more distance from more of the face. Unlock another level for your game at TaylorMadeGolf.ca. I felt for JJ Spaun this morning because I can tell you from experience what it's like, if you're in a match play with somebody or if you're just in a very nerve-wracking, like unfamiliar spot. McIlroy had the honors, which was based on the fact that he got
finished
into
first.
the clubhouse first.
That's how they play that.
That's strange to me. It feels like you should flip a coin, but anyway, that's the rule. So McIlroy knew it, and you knew McIlroy slept on it the night before, saying, if I hit a tee shot here, this guy is going to soil himself.
Melt, yeah.
And he hit the most perfect golf shot. You couldn't place it any better than the way he hit it.
It was 347, nutted down the middle, and JJ Spaun was probably watching that saying, I'm screwed.
I'm in big trouble. And the swing he put on his first tee shot, I know it. That's get in the air, get off the tee box, and get out there somewhere. I don't care where it is. And he hit like a heely cut into the... And the second shot he hit, he chunked and pushed. And when that ball was in the air, it was this close to going in the water. That guy, you talk underpant cam, it would have been so extreme because he thought he put it in the water. Then the thing's over.
Yeah.
Then you're carding like a 7
I
or
know,
an
but
8.
dude, it was his third shot that got him. And he hit an
bunker
easy
shot.
bunker shot. Kiz was even saying, he goes, this is a standard up and down. All he had to do was put that
anywhere
like
on that hill and it filters down.
A tour player gets that up and down, I think 75% of the time, maybe more.
And then he left the putt short. You could just tell he was so
Just
shook.
melted.
Dude,
man.
and
I
then
felt
he got
for the
to
guy.
the island green, and you could see his wires were crossing.
Well, when McIlroy put his 9-iron to like 15 feet.
That's why he
Wearing
doesn't
white
know that
pants.
McIlroy was talking about how he's been flighting golf balls and working on these like 3/4 shots. This guy looked in his bag and said, "That's Rory McIlroy hitting a 9. I got to grab one more."
Yeah. And
he
McIlroy
cured
hit
it
a
right-
3/4 9.
Yeah, you hit an 8-iron as a tour pro, 135 yards
Absurd,
going
man.
over the green.
He missed that. He missed his spot by 15 yards.
Yeah.
Is he looking at his caddy going,
Well,
what are we doing here?
here's
he
another
said
thing.
to his caddy, he's like, "Where is that ball, by the way?"
And that's
The
another
guy didn't
move.
have the balls to say it's in the water.
That's another move I'm very familiar with. You
Where's
know you hit that in the water. And when you give it to, where is that? Like that, he knew it was wet.
Oh,
He
yeah.
knew he dunked that ball. But he also knew everyone on earth was watching him, and he just basically threw away the players. He had to play stupid.
Yeah.
It's
He was
mandatory.
Away. He was away. You heard him on 18. He was away, and he said to Rory, because he was 3 shots back, he goes, "You can go ahead and finish that if you
Oh,
want."
yeah. What's the point of finishing up?
Get it over with.
Even the lag putt on 18, he missed by 15 feet. Like, I felt for the guy. He was so uncomfortable.
If you remember, Rory's 4-footer to go to a playoff,
72nd
he
hole.
barely got that into the hole.
That jimmied in the side
so
door.
If he had a missed that, it would have been Rory can't close the deal.
You're
all
saying
over
if
again.
he hits first and Rory hits second,
I think he's got a chance to win the tournament.
because Rory has he has a reputation, gets it in his head.
If he hit first, he might have gave Rory something.
He would have
think
hit the
about.
fairway. Now, maybe McIlroy does too, and then we'll see what happens.
But I love the play from Rory because everyone was saying he's just going to hit a 3-wood down there because his 3-wood goes 320. And this guy grabbed his driver, his best weapon, and said, "Chew on this, JJ Spaun." And he gutted one, and it was outrageous.
It's the greatest mic drop you can have in the sport.
Dude, that's like
McIlroy with that club.
It's a really cool hole to play the hole. It was downwind, and Rory McIlroy, the least, I made eagle on the hole once. I hit a 7-iron. Rory hit driver wedge.
Yeah.
from 30 yards back from where I play.
Right. Well, like you look at the tracker of his ball.
Yeah.
Like to have a side by side, the tracker and JJ Spaun's face would have been tough to watch. Yeah, because Spaun, I think, and he would be nervous anyways. Never been in a situation like that. Biggest moment of his career.
I'm happy for Rory though, man. Like
he
said a
McIlory,
couple of years ago, he's like, I think it was on that Netflix show, Full Swing, where he's like, I kind of identify being with the number one golfer in the world. Like he associates himself with that. And I think all the love that Scotty's getting, I think he kind of laughs it off and he pumps Scotty's tires. But I really think it pisses him off and it drives him.
I agree.
Right?
And now you look at his resume, man. Like if he closed in 2011, like this is the crazy thing. This guy's tournament started by him stealing someone's phone. Like that's
true.
He stole some guy's phone.
Because a guy was beaking him.
Because he was chirping him about not closing.
Weird, man.
By McIlroy, too.
Yes.
Like that guy's a golfer at Texas. He should know better. What are you doing chirping professionals?
That guy's career is probably screwed.
Yeah, it's just so stupid.
But taking a guy's phone,
you cannot
get charged
do that,
for
dude.
that.
That's such a greasy play. You can't steal some guy's phone. But if he closed in 11, if he closed at St. Andrews, if he closed at the U.S. Open last year, you're talking this guy's resume's top 7, top 8 all time.
Yeah.
Like that's, and he's still got time and he's still playing great, but the big one's coming up in a month. Like that's the one. He's going to be playing unreal. He's playing one more time. He said he's probably going to go to Houston.
I think he'll go into the tournament as a favorite, to be honest with you.
I don't know how Scheffler can't be the favorite.
I don't think it'll be overwhelming Scotty right now. He hasn't shown since coming back from injury that he should be the overwhelming favorite. Not right now.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, it's just something about that golf course, man. Scheffler, the way he plays that, it's unbelievable how
Rory
he dances
should be
around
playing
that.
it the exact same way.
He should, and I think his short game, his putting, and all that, like the way it's been improving, would
Maybe
help
this will
him
give
greatly.
the
But
confidence to get
to
the top.
It could. Listen, he's already won at Pebble. He's won at the Players. It's been a good start to the year for McIlroy.
Apparently, we've got that Sopranos video.
Okay, why don't we come back and play it? All right.
Yeah,
so this is Paulie Walnuts. This is him basically directing this to you.
Yes.
The O-Dog Jeff O'Neill, and how you feel about using a urinal to tie your
Dude,
shoes.
it's tying your shoes, man. What are we talking about?
We'll get to that. We've got CJ coming up. There's a report coming out that maybe the Jays are going to circle back on Vladdy and try to negotiate a deal here and maybe bump the money up. We'll get to that as well. Overdrive continues. TSN 1050 and on TSN 4. All right, Chris Johnston coming up. Johnson Wagner. We've got another week of clues from Al's brother. We'll let you hear one of those clues. Something to chew on still to come as well. But when in doubt, I think Paulie Walnuts, he needs to step up.
Yes.
And he needs to step in and set the record straight on laces and shoes and washrooms and the way everything should be viewed around the world. You guys ready for this? This is poetic stuff. You in particular needs to listen to this.
What the you doing? Lunch is ready.
Wash my hands.
You just washed your hands.
Then I tied my shoes.
So what?
I can't stand touching shoelaces. Ever go to tie your shoes and you notice the end of your laces are wet? From what? Why would they be wet?
I got no idea.
You go to public bathrooms? You stand at the urinal?
Oh, come on, will you?
He's asking me, I'm telling him. And frankly, it's important. Even if the lace is dry, and even if you don't touch the body of the shoe, bacteria and virus migrate from the sole up.
You see this on TV?
I gotta watch TV to figure out the world. Your average man's is a sewer. You look at ladies' johns, you could eat maple walnut ice cream from the toilets. There's exceptions. But a men's, piss all over the floor. Urinals jammed with cigarettes and mothball cakes. And they can pour all the ice they want down there, my friend. It does nothing to kill germs. Even if you keep your shoes tied and you're not dragging your laces through urine.
Oh, shut the up.
That's enough. But that's exactly what we're talking about. Listen to him. You're telling me he doesn't know what's going on? Paulie Walnuts?
Everyone has had to put their foot up on something to tie their shoe. I can't see it. I don't see it as a foul.
I love that. That show is so
That show
brilliant.
is arguably one of the
It's the greatest in my
And
opinion.
I've known you for almost 15 years, man. I don't know you as a guy that washes his hand like every 5 minutes. I don't know.
Well, I'm not constantly washing. I'm not like a germaphobe or anything like that. But I think there's a separation between, just
proper hygiene,
common hygiene and decency, and firing your foot up on a urinal in a public space.
I think we can leave it at the
Anyway,
urinal
we'll
is
leave it
just
there.
for one thing.
That's right.
Right.
That
There's
sounds
no
appropriate.
task
No.
accomplishment.
Exactly. But yeah, The Sopranos. You know what's crazy? Like every once in a while we bring this up. We're aging. The three of us are getting older, and Doogie's like 20 years old. That this is a thing now for younger kids. They're like, hey, you got to see this show, The Sopranos. You ever heard of it? Like that's the show.
Yeah.
That now like
the
20-year-olds.
retro show.
Yeah, that's the retro show.
Which is
You
great,
know,
though. People got to
Which
watch it.
They should. It's
I don't
the
know
most
if
brilliant television.
Does it age well with today's world?
I think it does. I think it does. And
Got to go back and
yeah, I
watch
think you
it
can find that on Crave too, right? Because
Yeah.
it was an HBO show. You can find it on Crave. And
I
yeah,
started
I
watching
strongly urge you to do
White
that.
Lotus.
I've been watching that too, season 3. It's a wild scene, that White Lotus, man.
They don't mess
I didn't
around.
see the second season. I saw parts of the first one.
Oh yeah, I've watched.
I haven't
first
seen
and
all the
second
first
season.
two.
Oh yeah, they're good.
And then this one,
Yeah.
my wife and I, she was like, let's watch it. And we're like, all right, I'll get into it. Now we're into 5 episodes. I think the 5th one came out last night.
It's good.
Yeah, it's a wild scene, man.
They don't mess around.
The White Lotus doesn't mess around. There were some moments last night. I'm like, what the hell is happening?
I'm not there yet, so don't ruin
Okay,
it.
I won't say anything. You'll know what I mean when
Oh,
you
yeah.
get to these parts. All right, final hour coming up. Chris Johnston will join us. We'll also catch up with Johnson Wagner. We'll get to our best bets. Overdrive continues. TSN 1050 and on the TSN app.